Live now, Chandler. So let's save that story for another time.
Oh, we could definitely save that story.
We're just talking about passive income and people.
The rules of investment, things of that nature.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. I got Chandler here today. And besides just being a cool guy and just all around, everybody likes Chandler kind of person, he's also an investor and a commercial realtor.
Yep.
So I asked him, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. What if we did something a little different? What if we just come on and evaluate a deal? Yeah. You actually got excited about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean that's basically a huge portion of investment real estate. And if you want to be an investor, you got to break down an analysis every property you have. So it's definitely something I do on a regular basis. And so I was excited when you.
Yeah, and I think it ties into find your business, right? I mean, if you're a real estate agent, we need to have at least a basic understanding of how to evaluate a deal or not.
Correct.
Would you agree all investors have their own way they do it?
Yeah, and depending on the property, location, I mean, there's so many things that go into it, but yeah, everyone has their own little tidbit
and some people like this kind of property or some like this. There's no right or wrong. So what we're just going to kind of go over, it's just more conversation so you can kind of understand some of the things to look at, right? We're not going to go super deep.
No.
Because I'll just get confused.
Just keep it simple.
Dude, if my eyes glaze over, because you went too deep.
So I know.
We'll just keep it
super simple, and that's how I like
Perfect.
it.
So. All right, let's get going. Oh, I'm sorry, Chandler. I didn't update that. That was still Jody. I apologize.
That's okay.
But I like the music because it kind of gets me going.
Music's good.
Perfect. So before we get into like the spreadsheet of the deal, tell us about the deal that we're going to look at.
Yeah, so the deal is it's 9 units, 2 bedroom, 1 bath units, townhouse style. All have up and down. Bathrooms are upstairs, bedrooms are upstairs. Kitchens, living room, pretty basic. All have 2 parking spots, no garage space. So townhouse style.
So where's it at?
It's in Lake County.
Okay. In Lake.
Yep. Gonna kind of keep it off the record for right now. We are under contract on the deal. So
very, very cool. But for those of you looking for property, it's hard to ever find any multifamily in Lake County.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Few and far between for sure. It's definitely a little bit less than Cuyahoga.
Absolutely. We end up looking in Paynesville quite a bit, or
Paynesville, and everyone wants to be in Willoughby, so you're even.
Oh God,
the pricing on everyone wants to be in Manor.
All right, have you priced duplexes in Willoughby? I know you have. It's like crazy.
It's outrageous.
It's hard to even get those numbers to work.
And I mean, I've called about every duplex, triplex, fourplex owner in Willoughby, and
like off market,
not a single person wants to sell it. They're
seriously,
like you have more? We could try to buy more. So location wise, Willoughby is everyone wants to.
Are they even cash flowing well, or do they even care?
They got to be. A lot of them are generationally owned, so they're all paid off, and so
they don't care.
They don't care at all, They'll take that extra money.
And I was also kind of curious, like in Willoughby, if you got a lot of people that are house hacking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely downtown.
You want to explain what house hacking is for the people that may not know?
Yeah, so it's especially great for younger people who are looking to buy their first home. A lot of people buy either a duplex or a triplex. They live in the one unit and they rent out the other, and the one unit should ultimately pay for about 90% of your mortgage, if not the full thing. So, you're basically living for free and someone's paying your mortgage on your property.
You know what can happen when you're living for free?
What's that?
You can get rich.
That's true.
You can create some serious wealth.
Oh, yeah.
You got a fan. I don't know who it is. Says, Chandler, teach me your ways.
Cool. I love the fans.
The downside of the StreamYard, unless they sign up, I don't know who said it. Cool. And then we'll look on Facebook and you'll see who your hecklers are later.
Follow me on Instagram.
If you're not a fan, follow them on Instagram.
Follow me on Instagram anyways.
Doesn't matter. Okay, so this property, 9 unit, 2 bed, 1 bath, you said?
Yep.
It's Claire. So there's your fan.
Oh, I love Claire. I think I'm a bigger fan of Claire than she is of me.
We're all a fan of Claire.
Claire's awesome.
Here she is. Very impressive. Okay, let's. You want to do it? Should we dig into it?
Let's dig into it.
All right. Before we do that, what else do I need to know about the property? Would you consider it A, B, C?
So, location is big, depending on where you're at. For this specific property, it's on a great location, great main street, has a lot of visibility. I'd give it probably a C+ to a B-.
Okay.
Roughly in that.
Which actually for here is not bad.
No,
just put in perspective, A is probably going to be those brand new condos down in Cleveland.
Correct. Yep.
At $300,000 for a tiny itty bitty condo,
Right. Which,
right? I mean,
don't-
dude, the price you're getting on this stuff down
oh,
there.
it's unreal. I mean, yeah, you're at like 250,000 a unit in some of these things, you know.
And then even the rents, because I was talking to a guy who's like rehabbing a lot of, not a lot, but some stuff down there, and,
Yeah.
and they get $2,000
Oh yeah,
rent for
all
these
day
little
long.
condos down there.
Yeah,
Not
I
even
mean,
condo, little apartments, just,
the new, I mean, you know, the new builds are going to $2,500 for 2 beds, and
and that's not furnished.
no, they're 800 square feet. So yeah, prices are getting a little bit up there, but
See, that is,
but relative to the United States, Cleveland is in a
Yes.
great location, you know, for investing.
I would
it's a great
agree.
location.
Because of the price you can pay for something for your cash flow
Oh,
is
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like we're saying, so you might have those over there for $250,000 for a small unit.
Right.
You can still buy a house for $50,000.
Right. Now, you know, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who is he works in an equity firm in New York City.
Okay.
And what they do is they buy gigantic multifamily unit buildings, so 400 units, 500 units, things of that nature. And he's telling me their average is 250 to 300,000 per unit.
Per unit.
So you're buying, you know, 500 units at $300,000. I mean, so what I'm trying to do is, you know, talk to him about Cleveland. You know, what's Cleveland?
Or
have
you
to
can pick
offer
up something
guys?
for, $80,000 a unit.
Right.
And that's pretty nice property.
Right. Not too bad, but yeah,
Right.
and it depends on their criteria. So
And let me put these numbers up here. Give me 1 second. So all right, so we found a property we like.
Mhm.
What's the first thing we should look at?
so let's look at the price that they're asking for. Yeah, I like to break it down per unit. Put the number of units as well up there. I don't know if you have my spreadsheet on there.
I am having a hard time pulling the spreadsheet. So just go ahead and talk it through. So the first
Yes.
thing you look at.
So I look at the asking price, and then their income, and then their NOI, which is their net operating income. So that's after expenses and everything of that nature. And to find that cap rate, you know, you just divide the NOI by the purchase price, and you get that cap rate. You know, let me know when you have that.
It's not pulling up. I got a technical difficulty.
So we'll just break it down by from the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's do that.
So you take the gross rental income.
Okay.
That's all the rents combined together. What's the property making a year, right? And then you break down each expense into a category. So you got your real estate taxes, your insurance, gas, electric, water, sewer, which 9 times out of 10 are paid by the tenants. So which is nice.
Hey Chandler, I got it.
That works. Beautiful.
Sorry about that.
So like I was saying, the purchase price is at the top, $675. The gross rental income is $770,475. That's what their rents are bringing in, and then you have the taxes, insurance, maintenance expenses. Which, if you see the maintenance and cleaning is $7,793. I put a $6,399 add back because those are one-time costs. You know, 2 of those are hot water tanks. Those aren't expenses that you're going to be accounting for every single year. So the bank, when they look at this, they have add backs, right? So the expenses are a little bit lower. It comes out to be about $1,700 of expenses, which is pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah. And then you just subtract that from your gross rental income, and that's your total operating income, which is $52,113, which is a 7.72% cap rate. Which I don't know if people know what cap rate is. It's kind of basically the yield that your property will bring in at the end of the year.
All right, my eyes are glazing over.
Okay, now we're getting a little bit too deep, I guess, for
No, cap. All right, so what does this mean to somebody though?
So this is what.
How do I know if this is good or bad?
So is the income outweighing the debt? Yes. Right. And then, so if I'm looking at it as a good investment standpoint, I'm making 7.72% of my money. To me, that's pretty good. What is the bank going to give you?
Well, that's not counting appreciation,
right?
Depreciation.
Right.
I mean, that's not counting
right. You have
any
tax
of these
write-offs with depreciation. You have appreciation of an average of 4 to 5% per year. So, you know, real estate pays you in multiple different ways.
Absolutely.
And this is just one section of how it pays you, right? This is just the operations, the day-to-day, so to speak, on how you get paid. Appreciation, depreciation, those are completely different.
Absolutely. So like right now with interest rates being higher.
Yeah.
So is that would make properties a little bit harder to get to cash flow?
Yeah.
So that does that change cap? That doesn't change cap rate though, does it?
So it will, depending on, and a lot of that depends on the property too, right? It depends on how stabilized is it, what is the value add that needs to be done, is there value add? So that all comes into play. But yeah, with interest rates rising, those margins become thinner and thinner.
Right.
So
this particular property, is there a value add play in this, or is it in pretty good shape?
So the value add here is in the rents. They have an average of about $717 per unit per month on rent. Your average for that area is $950 for
Holy
2-bed,
cow.
1-bed units. So
just bringing it up, you got 9 units,
right?
So there's 1,800 times a year. What is that? 20,000.
On the right there, you got my pro forma, which is
Okay,
what
that's
it
perfect.
should be.
So what's a pro forma mean?
So the pro forma is the projected income or rents, or kind of the projected idea of what the property should be bringing in.
Got you. So you got your property.
Yep.
Then whatever value add piece
Right.
brings you to a pro forma.
Right. So
Perfect.
So your left is the actuals. So that was actually what the income was in 2022. And then the pro forma is what it should be bringing in the next coming year or so.
Just by correcting rents.
Right.
So this particular property, you don't think they do any other money spend, just correct rents?
This property, I've seen all the units been inside. They're updated for the most part. They're around 2006 to 2012.
Shit, that's brand new.
Which is right.
No, seriously.
That's very new. A lot of times you have properties. This property was built in 84, I want to say.
1884?
1984. So.
Okay, this is an A property, bro.
It's relative.
1984. That's pretty good.
Area-wise, what's the area? It's not in a terrible area, not in an A-class area, if I would say.
So you should predict maintenance wouldn't be too horrible on this,
Right.
and just that kind of stuff.
And when you have the smaller unit types, your maintenance cost does go down a little bit from what I've seen. So I gave an average of about $570 per unit a year for repairs and maintenance.
Okay.
So
you figure all that into your estimates and
Yeah.
everything, just make sure.
Right. Which, as you see on the pro forma, I have a 5% vacancy cost, which any bank is going to hit that for some. When you bring this to the bank and say, "Hey, I want to purchase this property," they're going to hit it for some sort of vacancy cost.
Gotcha.
Working with Wes, I know he used to be a banker at U.S. Bank. They hit it for 10% right off the bat. So that's yeah. So
to simplify that just means this is a projected expense that they take away from the income, and it doesn't matter if the actual expense happens or
Right.
not.
Exactly. Right. So they're just predicting that you're going to have a 10% vacancy, and that's
Wow.
They're just hitting it.
So point being, so a lot of these banks, or some of these banks, might be a little harder to get money from if they're doing a 10% vacancy.
Correct. And what I'm seeing is a lot of these lenders aren't really wanting to play with a lot of multifamily properties that are under $1 million. Just, I don't know if that's because interest rates are rising, lending criteria is getting a little bit stricter, or what that is. But yeah, you're seeing a little bit more difficult time getting these smaller properties financed.
DSCR.
That's right.
We'll do a 5-year arm on this baby. I don't care. We'll refi it later.
Right.
I like it. That's kind of funny because I'm talking to my brother. He invests in stuff, and so you're always like, well, if the financing, we can figure out the financing, the numbers work. There's so many different ways,
right,
to make a deal work or not work.
And that's one thing that I'm definitely learning more about is creative financing, and yeah, that's a huge topic to get into as well. And
oh my gosh, you can talk for hours just on that piece of it.
And that's
100% agree.
Yeah, that's a lot to get into, but yeah, finding those different lending criterias and.
So for you personally, because I know you're an investor and you got several properties,
Mm-hmm.
do you do you like cash flow? Do you do appreciation? What do you kind of look at?
Where my properties are at now, I kind of took into factor, okay, what is that city specifically doing? Are they getting any money from the government? Are you seeing redevelopment, new development popping up? What's your average appreciation cost, or what's your average rental vacancies for the area? What's the average rent for the area?
You looked at all that before you buy?
I did. I was pretty familiar with the area that I was investing in.
I under researched my area.
Yeah, I think it's because for me, I'm in it for the long haul, but I'm also in it for the cash flow, right? So appreciation is a huge thing as well for me because if I can go sell my property that I paid for 10 years ago for 30% more than what I paid for it, and a cash flow the entire time, that's a win-win.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, those two things definitely, all those things.
That is one thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, that I've noticed, because I'm not from Cleveland. I'm from New Mexico, so I'm over a year here, kind of evaluating things. And it seems like there's some areas that cash flow really good, but you might be lucky to have any appreciation at all.
Yeah.
And then other areas are completely different. You may not cash flow as well, but you got better appreciation.
Right. Yeah, and that's all relative to
what your strategy
is and what cities you're looking to invest, because you might have these low C to D class properties that cash flow a lot, but their appreciation is going to be way smaller. But a lot of times with those properties, you don't have a lot of maintenance and repairs costs and things of that nature. So it all comes back relative.
You actually made a really good point earlier when you said you looked at the neighborhoods in the city.
Yeah.
I think that's a great tip. What is the city planning on spending money?
Right.
Euclid's actually spending some money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, downtown, it's looking pretty good.
They're spending some money.
So, I mean, if we're just looking at that,
right.
I should predict that area should start appreciate a little better than it has in the past. Whereas I'm not going to name areas, but we got other areas where they're not spending anything.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense for us to believe it to be any better 5 years from now. So,
unless you can find that deal that cash flows so much,
10% a year, and I've got a good buddy who likes that.
Right.
Dude, the cash flow is so good, I don't care.
Right. It's all relative.
They could burn down in 10 years. I did great.
Right.
So
with me personally, I'm not at the point to where I could buy multi buildings yet. So I'm looking, more as appreciation and cash flow. If I can get both the best of both worlds, and make it happen.
There's my brother, fellow investor in New Mexico.
What's going on,
Dominic, buddy? But and then again, another thing, and you talked about it, and we'll probably wrap up in a minute here. But here, to me, is very interesting. There is a huge difference in the property tax.
Yeah. From
city to county to everything.
Right.
And to me, a lot of the stuff I've evaluated has been killed when I pull the taxes. Mm-hmm. Because we have something that might be $400 or $500 a month just on the taxes.
Right.
All right, there goes my whole entire cash flow.
Well, I think what a lot of people weren't doing this past couple of years, because interest rates were so low, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to be an investor."
Free money!
Right, it's free money. If you look on my the actuals versus the pro forma, look at the taxes. So the actual taxes were $15,634 a year. In my pro forma, I have the purchase price on what those taxes will equate to.
Oh,
so they're going to go up to $20,000 to $935.
That is a great tip.
That's huge.
No, that's huge. We're always optimistic in performas where we're doing I can get the rents up. Yeah, but your taxes are probably going to go up too. That's a great point.
Well, and you saw a lot of these properties this past year that the pro formas are awesome, right? They look great. Taxes are low. And you're like, wait a minute. Once the purchase price comes in, those taxes are going to quadruple in some cases, right? It's like, how does that affect your cash flow? Well, enormously.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes, not being ready for that, and you're in the negative with your numbers. So having those tax increases, that's a huge part of my pro forma and what clients.
I think that's a great tip right there.
Yeah.
Just and always be realistic with your numbers. Don't you agree?
100%. There's no reason
and honestly be maybe conservative.
Right. A little bit conservative. Yeah. So, great. I work with Wes Purvis, the Purvis commercial team. Wes is very conservative, being a past U.S. bank.
Well, 10% for vacancy alone.
Right.
That's a 5% haircut right off the top.
Which is great. So when we're putting our numbers together, I can have Wes very conservative, play off his brain. Me, I kind of want to look at the brighter side a little bit more, but it's great mesh, and we come to great pro formas and analysis for our clients.
Well, see, you're younger than me, so you've got time for a bad deal to fix itself.
Yeah.
You get a little older. You ain't got as much time for the deal to fix itself.
Yeah, you got time, man.
There's plenty. Here's a little tip from Dominic. Ballpark Deal is a great app that can help you quickly evaluate a property.
Nice.
He shared that one with me.
Cool.
I think the big takeaway would be at least have some system to evaluate. Don't
agreed.
And don't necessarily rely on your real estate agent, because I'm just going to say this, and I don't mean to offend anybody. There's a lot of real estate agents that are great at what they do. And then they get into, well, I can do a duplex or a fourplex or a nineplex or a 12plex because their license allows them to, but they don't really understand it.
Yeah.
And no, again, no offense to anybody.
Right.
So I'm just telling everybody as investors, make sure you have your own metrics to evaluate a property, period.
Do your own due diligence always.
Would you agree with that?
100%. I put a pro forma together for my clients, but I always tell them run your own numbers.
Well, because they may not agree with your 10% vacancy.
Right,
They're like, I'm going to do a 4.5.
And like I said, everyone has their own little tweak that they do on calculating numbers. So, but to get a ballpark and a relative, that's a good thing to have.
Absolutely. Agreed. One more thing, Chandler, what do you do once a month?
So once a month on the third week of every Thursday on the third week of every month is our investor meeting at 11 a.m. That is just breaking it down month to month. We're just find a new topic and discuss, and it's all about investing in real estate and growing your net worth and growing your wealth. So that's
absolutely. We've talked about this, and we didn't really find any meetups or anything. So Chandler decided to create his own.
To create our own,
And who's invited?
Everybody. Everyone's invited. Anyone who wants to learn more about real estate investing and how to get into real estate investing. That's what we're meeting to talk about.
Do they have to have an investment property yet?
Don't have to have an investment property. Just come there. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 units or 0 units. Everyone's welcome, and we're all just kind of.
Or if you have several
ideas. Right. We're just sharing each other's ideas, man. It's great to kind of hear what someone else has to say. Everyone's got
100% agree. And what's nice with being with like-minded people, they talk the same. And then they start having, same problems. Okay, how do we figure this out? Right. It's just any kind of mastermind with like-minded, huge. And you had a great turnout, which is awesome. And I expect it to keep growing. So you guys, please message Chandler, message me.
Yeah.
Be more than happy to give you guys more information. Are you taking new clients currently, or you too busy for people?
I'm taking new clients. I definitely specialize mostly in investment properties, such as multifamily deals of that nature. I would definitely love to get into some sort of development and redevelopment in the future, but it's down the line. Definitely more focused on investments at the moment.
So are you open to conversations with people about development? They can reach out to you still?
Definitely open to conversations about that for sure.
Love it. Love it. Cool. Hey, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you coming in, and I'll see you guys maybe next Friday. I don't know. Maybe I'll do this again next Friday. We'll see. And sorry, it's Joe.